Hello everyone, this is Herb Halstead from Jackson Graphics and Big Twin Life, and today we are going to talk about a new tool that we are bringing to the masses from our shop to you, and it is ShirtCalc. It is a DTF pricing calculator for creators. We wrote this mainly for people like us who provide DTF products or DTF apparel, but don't have the room like in here or the resources to put a big DTF machine in here. And in our particular case, if we get one, we're going to get a really good one that we're not going to have to worry about going bad in 6 months. And I'm not naming any names on brands, but when we get one, we're going to get a good one. So it's going to cost quite a bit to do that. It's going to take quite a bit of space and some infrastructure changes within our space. And so for now, we're just not doing that. Well, we wrote this for that kind of user because this is the tool that we use. It was in Excel format until we decided to port it to a web app, mainly to bring it to the masses. So ShirtCalc is a DTF pricing calculator for creators. And it's brought to you again by Jackson Graphics. We are an apparel decoration shop in West Tennessee. So when you come to shirtcalc.com, which is the URL, you will find this screen where you can log in or register. Registration is really easy. You will have to do email validation, so you need to make sure you put a proper email address in there. And there's a couple of screenshots of what the inside of it looks like a little bit. But at any rate, that is the opening screen. Once you log in, this is the screen you'll get. It's the job data tab. Now, if you've used our other calculator, our online calculator, the embcalc.com, which is our embroidery calculator, if you've used that, then you know we implemented kind of a two-part system. You have the job data, which is this very specific data that a customer calls or emails, somehow inquires of you about, and it has certain criteria that goes into that. But then there's also the other side, which is your operational rates, your shop rates, the constant variables that don't change from job to job, that are consistent across all jobs and only change when something in your business changes. Like maybe you get in the case of an embroidery calculator, maybe you get another machine with 4 heads, and that really changes the dynamic of what you can do in a certain amount of time. So until those shop rate or those factors in your shop change, you should never have to adjust the shop rates. So with that having said, let's look at the shop rate tab. For this particular calculator, we start off with your DTF cost per square inch. This is how much it costs you if you in materials and everything if you are doing it yourself, or how much it costs when someone charges you for them. When you place an order to an outsource vendor for your DTF film prints, that is where you put in that cost, whatever that is. Now, we also provide you the ability to mark that up for an internal purpose. For instance, say that maybe you want to put a little fudge factor in case you misjudge the size of something when you're pricing it, or maybe you want to build in so many extras that you order of each piece, depending on how many pieces you have to make, depending on how many blanks you have to do. Maybe it's 10% extra you order. Well, we've provided you the ability to mark up that cost either with a dollar amount or a percentage, up to you. You can use it or you don't have to. It's completely up to you. We also, of course, put a setup fee in here. You put this whatever you want it to be, and if you have a threshold in which you waive it, say that if someone orders 50 shirts, you waive that setup fee. And it's incorporated in the price that you give them. Then this is the per blank press seconds. This is how long it takes you from putting the shirt on, doing your initial moisture press, your initial film press, your peel, then your your set press and then your texture press, whatever, and then pulling it off and folding up, whatever that amount of time is that it takes you to produce one shirt, whatever your, typical average is, put that number here in seconds. So say it takes you 2 minutes to go through one shirt and do all that process. Put that in here. That's 120 seconds. Then put your labor rate in there, whether you're paying yourself or you're paying an employee. There's a labor markup thing here that you can put in to cover their insurance and their PTO and all those kinds of things. And that could be a money value, a monetary value, or a percentage. And then how much you mark up your materials from the cost that you have to the customer. In our case, we have 100% markup, and that's just the way we do it, and it gives us room. We know with a 50% margin that we've got 20% that we have to budge with if we want to negotiate. And so if they don't ask for a negotiation, then we get what we want, which is 100% markup, 50% margin on it. Of course, that can be a percentage or a dollar amount, whatever you choose. And then if you have a rush order rate, say someone wants it tomorrow, and that's going to disrupt you, how much do you feel like you need to be compensated for that disruption? Maybe it's $50, maybe it's 50%. You can set that. And then we also provided a thing in here to help offset your energy costs. You put in your kilowatt hours and whatever project time this calculates to, we charge those kilowatt hours and add it to your pricing. So this is the end of the shop rates tab. So again, this is set and forget. You only have to mess with it ever so often when something in your business actually changes. So having said that, the tab you're going to spend most of your time in is the job data tab. So when someone calls in an order, this is where you go. And the very first thing we put in there, and the very first thing you probably are going to ask, is how many, and let's just say there's 30 shirts this time. Let's say they're going to do a chest logo that's, or your blank cost. Say your blank cost, let's say they're on a cheaper shirt, so maybe you get a Toltex or something like that. Maybe it's $189 a shirt or something like that. Then say they want a chest logo. Maybe their chest logo is 3 wide and 2 tall, for instance. And maybe they want something across, maybe their telephone number across the back. Maybe that's usually going to take about 10 inches and 3 inches tall. And you've got a neck tag that's 2.5 inches wide by 3 inches tall that you put in the inside collar. Maybe you have a logo you want to put on the back too, that's your logo. But since this is really a shirt for them, they've got their phone number on it, so you're not going to put that on there. Maybe we put a flag on the left sleeve, 3x2 flag. And on the right sleeve, we're not put anything. Then we have a spot here where you put the shipping cost. Say your supplier charges you $12 no matter what you send, which is the case for us. We put that in there. For this many blanks, maybe it's going to cost about $17 to ship it. If you were going to have to ship it to your customer too, you could put that in there. If it's a rush order, you put that in there. That's where you would say yes or no on the rush order. So now we're at the end of the job data, and guess what? We're done except for one thing, pressing that pricing tab. So once we press the pricing tab, you'll get what we call quotable prices at the top, and this just tells them, the DTF pieces, they're going to cost $12.08 a piece, and you've got 30 of them, so this is the extended cost, $362.38. And since their order was only 30 shirts and your threshold was 50, you're going to charge them a setup fee for that. And the shipping cost total is $29. No rush on this one, so this is the price you charge, and you quote them, $441.38. That easy. We've added a little button here to allow you to copy that quotable price table to a clipboard. And so say that you were writing an email to your customer, here is your pricing breakdown, and then you just paste it in right there. and reformat it if you want to do that or whatever. But there you have an emailable quote that you can send to your customer. So that's what that button does right there. Now we also do a little bit more. We show you kind of where these values come, so you can kind of see things like your blank cost is going to be $113.40. This is important, 4 hours of press time total. So you need to make sure you schedule the time to do that. And maybe you add, for your own scheduling sake, maybe 20% or 25% to that. So maybe you add another hour to that just for your scheduling purposes. But now you know how long that job would take you if you were rock and rolling on it. Whatever you based your press time on. Maybe that was an average. Maybe it was your slowest time. Maybe it was your fastest time. I don't know. Labor costs, the total pressed value of the goods, the setup and the shipping and all that, and gives you back your total price, which matches this total price. So that's basically it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. We also have a My Account button here where you can manage your password and that kind of thing, email address. One other thing, if you decide to do a subscription, what that does is gives you the ability to save the job. And so then you can recall the job quote that Mr. Cotter called you about, and for those 25 shirts, and you've got that pricing right there where you can remind him, put in a text message, say he forgot what it was, so here you've got it right here. So the ability to save the jobs and not just have this blank default that changes every time you do a quote. If you want the ability to save a job so you can recall them, then that is going to cost you a subscription. And if you don't want that, then it's free. ShirtCalc is free forever. If you just don't get to save jobs. But it does save your default, so you can change that and it'll be the same when you bring it up the next time. But to save it, you have to subscribe. Subscription is $5 a month or $50 a year. Yearly saves you $10. What this does is help offset our time to continue to develop this, to chase down bugs, to implement features, to implement feedback that you give us, those kinds of things. I mean, we're never going to pay for the amount of time that we put in this, but the subscription kind of gives us a little bit of help to cover at least some of those costs. Anyway, I appreciate your time looking at ShirtCalc. I hope that you use it. I hope that you find it useful in your business, and if you do, tell us how you're using it. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we might add, what we might take out, whatever. Just give us some feedback on it. We'd appreciate it. Again, my name is Herb Halstead from Jackson Graphics and Big Twin Life, and thanks for watching.